I want to speak to. Okay, yeah. I just gotta get this microphone. I'm driving. It's Christmas Eve day, and I'm an emotional wreck. I don't even know if emotional wreck is the right word. I guess it is. I don't really cry or have things, but I think my emotional. I think what being an emotional wreck to me looks like is being unable to make a decision. It's this state of limbo that it's almost paralyzing. So it's like a freeze. It's a bit of a freeze response. I don't know if giving an example of what's going on right now is necessary, like the details of it, but on a more meta level of what I'm going through right now is that, and sometimes I'm trying to understand how to just feel into my emotions. I'm definitely like a hyper logical person, and I try to analyze everything from both emotional, both reason, but like everything, like spiritual as well. I try to like see every component of a decision, and then when it's balanced on both sides, then I'm stuck. I'm like, what's the choice that I make? Anyway, yeah. So yeah, it's Christmas Eve, and I've sort of made a declaration. I guess I'll get into the details. A declaration a few weeks ago that I wouldn't be at my parents for Christmas, as I stayed there the whole fall, and I felt very disconnected from particularly my mom. And so my aunt was visiting from afar, from another country, and she's actually never been here to the country I'm living in before. And I met her once before when I was much younger, around 19. I'm 32 now, so I was seeing some friends, and initially my intention was to leave a week before she came, but I didn't know she was coming, and it seemed appropriate to come back and at least see her for a day. And yeah, and then when I got back, I got a little overwhelmed with my mom putting in effort into the Christmas trees and all this stuff, and I agreed to a friend of mine that's like 3 hours from our house that I would be house sitting for them for Christmas Day. And anyway, point is, I bailed on. Well, I said I was in an extreme emotional conflict. It seemed like the appropriate thing was to stay for Christmas Day with my parents. And yeah, it turns out that someone was able to house sit for them, so that I could be with my parents Christmas Day. And well, I don't know. I'm thinking out loud, and I don't know what to say anymore. Anyway, I woke up this morning. I was sort of already en route. Like I'd spent the night at a friend's house that was on the way to the house I was supposed to house it, but it was barely halfway. It wasn't even a quarter of the way there. So, but it was already outside of the city, a fairly big city that I live in, and then when I texted my friend that I was going to house it this morning, saying I was emotionally distraught and that I think I need to spend Christmas with my family, and then she texted back and said, and was very compassionate, and I got very actually emotional. Yeah, I think I actually want to rewind a little bit, because yesterday, before I left, I came to visit my aunt yesterday, and then I hung out with her and came back, and I was in this state of I was in this state of like, I probably need to spend Christmas with my parents, and the decision making was, even though in a lot of ways I don't really think that, I had the narrative. I was quite cold and gray rocking my mom for I just found out the terminology gray rocking, but I don't know if I mentioned it before, but anyway. And I was pretty cold with my mom, and then coming back, seeing my aunt was very warm and loving, and then I hugged my mom as well, because I don't know, I thought it'd be weird to show so much affection to my aunt and then absolutely none to my mom, and it just made me realize that she's just a human being, a very, very flawed fucking human being, but a human being nonetheless. I've been ruminating over things, over going no contact and stuff like that, but it's such a harsh thing to do to someone who I don't know. I'm definitely wounded by both my parents. And I desire reconciliation, but I don't know. I'm in the state. So it felt like I wanted to uphold my word to my friend that I was going to house sit, out of fear that I would disappoint them. So anyway, in the end, I would end up becoming a disappointment, but so it goes. In the fear that I would disappointment, and then my desire to stay with my parents was out of just affection for the fact that my mom is just a person, and I just want to be there, and she put effort into setting up some dinky little decorations, but she put some effort. And yeah, so that was, I think, that those two choices. One was based out of fear, the fear of being a disappointment, which ironically, that stems from my mom. So this is why it's such a weird decision to dissect, because I don't know how to describe it, but the decision to stay was based out of love, and it felt like an authentic love. It didn't feel like an obligation. And then the other decision to go and not be there for Christmas, as was my plan this whole time, was based out of fear, because to not show up, to make the decision to stay for Christmas, and to wait a minute. Yeah, the decision to go to the farm at this point was a fear-based decision, because it was like on the premise that I didn't want to disappoint anyone. And then if I was to stay for Christmas, the decision would be simply out of affection, to just, even if it's, I don't know, maybe I think it's probably superficial. It's like almost I'm just there to take a picture with the family, and that's all it really means. And it probably meant more to my friend to go and house it. So I'm at a complete loss. I've now made the decision, after standing 2 hours next to the highway, to go back to my parents for tomorrow morning, and then I'm gonna head out to the farm. My plans were already to go to the farm and be away from everything. Kind of, it's a bit of a refuge for me. And I don't know. I just feel like I've gone through a lot of emotional labor. And anyway, this morning at like 6 a.m, I messaged my friend to ask if someone could house it, and she said she'd already asked the day before, because I had that phone conversation where I was so unsure of myself, so profoundly lost, that she'd already asked, and basically it was her aunt agreed to house it, and she's already sitting her own house, so she's quite an elderly lady. But anyway, this morning I sat on the highway debating what I should do, and just completely unsure anymore of what's the right choice. And I just don't understand how to make the right choice. I can't. My compass is completely broken. And anyway, I've decided, after, like I said, 2 hours of just being next to the highway, that I am going back to spend Christmas morning with my parents. And I just don't know if it was a good choice or not. Now I used reason rather than was it a fear-based or love-based thing. I've put my friends up at the farm through my emotional roller coaster of indecisiveness, and in the end they're able to cover what I had promised to do. And I feel that they're compassionate towards my state. I'm probably less reliable in their eyes now than before, but I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like these abilities to not make clear-cut decisions is, well, it's some kind of a wound and some kind of trauma response. I don't know if trauma is even the right word here. It's getting tossed around so much, but it's weird. It's weird, and I don't know that I made the right decision to go back to my folks here. But that's the decision I've made, so I'm sticking with it. I'm going, and I'm now in heavy traffic because I took too long to decide. If I decided earlier, it would have been half the time. But anyway, it took me 2 hours sitting next to the highway. I was looking for omens such as birds flying one way or the other to decide, is this the right way to fly? And anyway, it's done. It's very stressful. I think in terms of this being my shadow side, that I have it. I definitely have been struggling with this for a long time, of making decisions. It always it's always quite damaging. More to me, which is I think I can bear the weight when I'm just struggling between two decisions and it's just making me go a little crazy and neurotic. But when my neuroticism and emotional paralysis affects other people, I think it's an unseen shadow side, and people don't really see that. And I think this is a reason I am hesitant to be close with people in general, is because this is, I think, possibly my worst side of me. But obviously I have a multifaceted shadow side. So I don't know. I really don't know. But this is a big one, and it's when my indecisiveness begins to impact the lives of other people. It does. So again, already my indecisiveness stresses me out, but it's almost like a silly thing, even though it's quite stressful for me. But again, when it affects other people, it's just brutal, because nobody really deserves that, to deal with that. Like, you know, and maybe every now and again people have compassion for you, but if there needs to be healing, I need to heal from this, and I don't quite know how. I don't know how to heal from this, and that's kind of, I think that's part of why I'm recording this, because I need to acknowledge that I need to heal from this indecisive nature of mine and get to the roots of it. And I think the roots do stem from, of course, my childhood, and perhaps worth an analysis, and perhaps worth going to therapy for, or something. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I think that I'm gonna wrap up this recording. If I have other things to say, I'll record more things, but I think this just needed to come out. And I've talked to other people about it, and I'm very grateful for the friends I have in my life. Very grateful. And I hope that my friends can tolerate me, and help me out, but it shouldn't fall on them. Of course, I'm grateful when there is support, when I feel supported, and I do feel supported. But I do have to, again, not bear my cross by myself, because I'm quite open, but there definitely needs to be an internal resolution to this, or internal work that needs to happen. And again, I already stated it. I don't know what that is. I don't know what the healing looks like, but it needs to happen. So, okay, I think, yeah, I'm gonna end it there.